Keep on steering north from twilight till dawn. Aurora borealis illuminates the path. My bright and northern star, guiding through the dark. White clouds shining on a polar bear, and the truth we shall know, with a heart filled with care.
The original background story for Gin Palace is in 2014 I experienced that my consciousness was kind of expanded, and I was for the first time dipping my toe in the water of different philosophical ideas I'd never considered before, and I'd just broken up from a relationship, and I'd had all these new concepts and ideas go through my mind, things like sacred geometry, meditation, Zen ideas, and I had some experiences, and I thought to branch out my knowledge and make sense of what had happened. And because I was miserable because I'd been dumped, I decided to just chuck myself into writing, and I got out a big Ryman's book. It's massive, and I've decided to fill it up with scramblings, poetry, song, lyric ideas, and thoughts. That's what the original impetus of Gin Palace. I take good concepts and ideas that I was thinking about at the time, and I'd turn them into songs. Things like The Flower of Life, songs like that, Gilded Cage, songs that didn't make it onto the actual end result of the album. Anyway, I recorded everything that I was happy with, which was probably about 34 songs or something like that, and I made it into a acoustic demo folder for me to look back at some point for a future reference. I wanted to capture the feel of the original songs, and I really loved the actual. One of the first songs I wrote for it was called Gin Palace, based on Hogarth's etchings and paintings and drawings of London culture at the time, where a load of people were moving for the first time en masse as industrialised culture just began from the countryside to the city. And I was using that when they used to go to people used to get wrecked in gin palaces, and I was using that as a kind of metaphor for culture, current culture. And other background to it is a song, The Panel of the Lions, was directly inspired by the Werner Herzog film Cave of Forgotten Dreams. Anyway, that sat around for a while, and I went back to work, and I finished Endless Blinking in the Sunlight, which is two ideas that it ended up taking me 6 years to coalesce all these ideas. And so I thought after that was done, I chucked myself straight back into writing, recording, artwork. My friend Leo Clark, who lives in Portsmouth, had come down, and we'd walk up on Bobbin Moor to the cheese room, where the hurlers are, the two stone circles. There were two posts, Bronze Age stone posts, and you can feel the ley line energy going through, and there's me standing between them, and she took a picture of it, and I turned it into a piece of art. That made the cover. It just the way it feels, it's almost like looking into a mirror. It's like and I kind of played with that idea, and I went back to it, listened to the acoustic demos, some of the concepts and ideas by then. I felt like I'd moved on. And philosophically, I'd matured as well, as I'd got deeper into things like meditation and philosophies, and I was reading like Manly Hall and different philosophers, and I've moved into a different territory. I'm still reading, still interested in a lot of those things and like concepts and ideas like Graham Hancock and amazing people like that. And so I just started up recording again. I had no idea how I was going to make these songs work because I wrote them solidly acoustically, but in the process of doing it, I ended up with half new songs as well. And I was starting to go into a more pure electronic, atmosphere-based sound, where I was making songs based on atmosphere rather than tonality or chords, and so I was going for that, and I was using a lot of vocal harmonies and concepts and ideas like that. I was using the plain chant, quite inspired by plain chant, and call and response in like the Anglo-Saxon song "Summer Is a Coming In," vocal rounds, things like that. So that all made it in there. In the process of which I come up with some of my best songs, like Polestar, which I still play live, and There Is a Phoenix Rising in My Heart, and pieces that sort of reflect the feel at the time, like The Long Stone and White Waves of Whitsun Bay. I'm going to go into depth later on track by track analysis. But as a project, I'm happy with it. It's cohesive, and I really worked hard on the production and the values of it, which I'd learned over time. I'd learned some lessons from the mistakes I made from Urania's Mirror. And I'd grown a lot from doing Endless Blinking in the Sunlight, because I made it my, Urania's Mirror made it my idea and concept that I was going to make a piece of art for every song. Endless Blinking in the Sunlight, I was going to make a video for every song. And so with Jimpa, so I had a strong artistic idea and an identity for it. And I kind of kept true to that with the music videos and the artwork, which is a lot more subtle, a lot more colour-based and atmosphere-based than Urania's Mirror. And the videos, I think, are a bit more specific to the song, to the actual song content of the lyrics. It's a long work. It's the perfect precursor. It's like being pulled in two directions. I've got the late 2016, early 2017 songs, which is half of it, and I've got the 2014 songs, which is half of it. So it's quite a varied work. It's quite electronic at times, very guitar-y at times, with alternate tunings, concepts on time, various ideas like that. And it's a clear indication looking back, because that year was quite prolific, and I come up with Gin Palace, which I released on my birthday in May, and then that later on that year I released Cherry Trees in early September, late August. And the concepts and ideas of the more electronic side of the productions for Gin Palace, I worked into Cherry Trees as a more pure synth electronic atmosphere based concept. I had a blast making it. It was awesome. You listen to the layered drum beats of Nebra Sky Disc, and you can tell that I'm having a time of my life coming up with these crazy ideas. And my privilege to live in Cornwall and to record it and have that part of the music videos. And it was a different time then than it is now, and I was in an environment where it was a very stressful work environment, but I more or less finished my working day at about 2 p.m. and then I would just get in a car and bugger off and pick a spot on the map in Cornwall and bring along companions, and it was a journey. Shared with them some really awesome experiences. Things have changed obviously as they do now between people, but it was I think I recorded that fairly well in the music videos, so that's quite important too. It was an interesting year of expansion. I did my Reiki level 2, so I was really taking the concepts and ideas that began with 2014 when the energy started pushing through me, and then I started to roll with it, and I was just about in the middle of it. It was a difficult time too, because there was a lot of stress and anxiety. And I didn't realise it was anxiety at the time. I thought I was just ill. Like, oh God, I've had the flu for a long time. I didn't realise that it was the stress and anxiety of what I was going through at the time. And it was really took a toll on my physical body, especially that year, because I'd started work self-employed with a business partner, and I'd started out at about 13 stone. And just about the time we sold the business in early 2018, I was 8 stone. So it had a physical effect on me. But I wouldn't change it because it made me really a strong person. It isn't black and white. You look back on past relationships, past friendships, past jobs, nothing is black and white. Never. You can whitewash something by idealizing something, but never blackwash either. It's just as bad. You can't draw a line in the sand and say this line is all crap, this line is all good. It's nothing like that in life is as black and white as that. And this is my Gin Palace retrospective. Enjoy the rest of it. There'll be a more shorter segment where I'll go into each different track. Enjoy.
You were an open book, with eyes like stained glass, You were a summer breeze, a gentle rain after. You were the silent autumn morning, with frost and fall. You were the silent autumn morning, with frost and fall. You were the snowy evening, with ice cold hands,
The original Gin Palace book was from 2014, and I ended up packing it with about half new songs at the tail end of 2016, and it was released May 2017. There's some interesting tracks on here. Pole Star, that basically means set your compass north. The sailors, when they wanted to use longitude, when they were sailing at night, used to orient themselves towards the pole star. It was a constant star, so it's about being constant, orienting yourself towards what is constant in your life. There is a phoenix rising in my heart. That is about that feeling when you're coming out of something really dark or a dark period of your life or depression, and there's a feel in the air, like a turn in the air, like almost like a springtime inside of you, and it's about rising up into that moment, living into that moment. It's one of the things I'm most proud of on that record. White Waves at Whitsun Bay. That is another song about changing for the positive. Can't Stop This Change from Blue to Red. It's about going forward. The Long Stone. I went through a period about autumn 2016, and I was all of a sudden like I was started having quite a good time of it, or a better time of it. And so me and my friends were hanging out a lot, and we were doing a lot together, and we were going to Porth and checking out new pubs and places, and watching the sunset in places like Holywell Bay, the Mermaid Inn in Porth, in on the shore in Downderry. Hidden Palaces, that is quite a personal song. It was quite a late comer, like Phoenix was. This song was originally called Into the Blue Sun. It's a special song because at about that time, when I was quite down, I went on to walk on Perranporth Hill, and it was the sun was going down before me, and right behind me there was a full moon rising. It was a kind of beautiful moment. And Hidden Palaces is, well, one time I was around Perranporth and I put my hand onto the rocks in the cave there, and I had I was suddenly aware of all the beauty down there, and it was like a beautiful palace down there. And I'd never really noticed how beautiful the caves are when sea tidal caves are, when they've got the light shining off the rocks and stuff, and it just seemed absolutely stunning. It's about my connection to nature and how nature can heal. Ouroboros, that is about infinity. That is about my early experiences of meditation, feeling, being present in the present moment. It's Hard to Start is a really, really old song. I mean, like 1998. It was one of a song I wrote for a band, no longer exists, but the original impetus of that is there, the melody and the chords, apart from a few things. Barrowlands is about my experiences of walking on Bodmin Moor, which is a place I really love, about the barrows and the crows, and the stone circle's there, and it's about life and death, how we relate to life and death. Panel of the Lions is about Chauvet Cave. I watched a documentary about Chauvet Cave, and how it was sort of hermetically sealed, and they got into it, and it's almost perfectly preserved, like the handprints and the cave art. And one panel in particular, got different panels of different animals, is the one of the lions. And the way this guy was describing it so moved me, what he was saying about this eternal heartbeat between animals and humans. The song Gin Palace is about what society does to people living in it with a social contract. It's about how we react to each other politically, socially, and how we react to the commercialisation of life, the way we're funneled down into things, the way people feel as if they're not good enough and they have to compete. Nebra Sky Disc is half about UFOs, half about the megalithic, Neolithic cultures. The Nebra Sky Disc was a disc of constellations they found in Germany. Traversing the Transmundane is about overcoming the transmundane boring elements of society by throwing yourself into truths. The Morning Sun Set the Sky on Fire is about one moment I was driving to work and I saw this incredibly beautiful sunrise and just how that felt, how that hit me. And You Were This Spring was about my friend Gemma, who died when she was 20.
We